Hey, this is Matt once again. Welcome back to another video. This is a paid request for Kyle. Thank you so much for that. For those interested in requesting any type of videos, feel free to send it either directly to my PayPal or join my Patreon. Both links are down below in the info box. It could be for pretty much any type of video. And this time it is for Biker Boyz, which is a film I remember seeing back in the day, but I did not remember anything about it, and watching it again, I could see why. It's one of those films you watch and it's just very generic, dull, forgettable. Not even like so bad or so crazy or so insane, it's ridiculous and it's kind of fun. Like Torque. Torque came out I think a year later, and it's hard to call it a good film, but it's so insane. I mean, you got two hot women having fights on motorcycles, and motorcycles literally like bang together. And one's Mountain Dew and one's Pepsi, and who will win? And just Ice Cube and crazy, like trying to be very stylistic shots, like the guy putting the key in the ignition, but the way they framed it, it looks like the key is this big because it's so close to the camera, or like the way they did. But at the same time, at least I'm remembering that, even though I've seen that. The last time I saw it was quite a while ago. But those shots still appear in my brain, and at least it's memorable, whether good or bad. And again, it has kind of an infectious fun to it. It's just, like, the lead guy isn't that good in it. I wish there was, hell, a lot of people in this, like Laurence Fishburne, or Orlando Jones, or Terrence Howard, and Dante Bosco, even. I mean, Kadeem Hardison. There's a lot of people in here I'd rather seen in that lead role, or Thomas Jane, or Carl Urban, or the list goes on. So anyway, this one is directed by Reggie Rock Bythewood, and his credits include Dancing in September, some HBO movie. He was a writer on the Spike Lee film Get on the Bus. He was a writer apparently on Notorious. He directed some film called Gun Hill, a movie for BET, starring Larenz Tate, who's in this film. I mean, he didn't really go on to much of a prosperous career. He worked on some TV show called Swagger, I guess he created, inspired by the experience of NBA player Kevin Durant. It was on Apple TV for 18 episodes. And it says loosely based, loosely inspired. So not exactly about him, but loosely inspired. Whatever. But yeah, Biker Boyz, it tries, like, it takes itself very, very seriously, and that's a mistake it made, because there's not much a sense of fun or comedy, and for us trying to be serious, at times there are parts that seem a bit too mundane, or maybe even a bit silly, or a bit, like, really? I say it tries to be Boys in the Hood. The director thinks he's John Singleton, which is ironic because John Singleton directed the sequel to the Fast and Furious, Too Fast to Furious, that came out the same year. And of course, this film got made because of the success of films like The Fast and the Furious. Hey, can we have that kind of film? Oh, but we'll do it with motorcycles. So you have Torque, came out 2004, and this film 2003. And like I said, Torque, at least it's more insane, and that makes it kind of fun. Here, Laurence Fishburne is known as Smoke, because he'll smoke you out. No, because he'll smoke you. Kill you? No. In motorcycle drag racing, he's the king of Cali. He wins all the races. He's part of a group of motorcycle guys that just love to hang out and drag race on their motorcycles and live their brotherhood. Amongst his group, you have Orlando Jones, who I liked. I've seen him in Evolution with David Duchovny. He was on Mad TV for a bit. He's here as the hype man that get people pumped up for when Laurence Fishburne arrives. Djimon Hounsou, who was in those Rebel Moon movies recently that Zack Snyder directed. He was in Amistad. He was in the first Guardians of the Galaxy. He's been in a lot of stuff. He's part of the crew. Lisa Bonet. Yes, that Lisa Bonet from The Cosby Show. She's in this. I remember her from Angel Heart. She's in this. This lead guy, Derek Luke. Yeah, I want to get his name right. He's the up-and-coming guy, literally nicknamed Kid, of course, who wants to start his own group, and how do I put it? Like he wants to start his own group, and wants to take on the champion, but people are, oh, you're too young, you're not ready. His dad, or at this point his stepdad, Eric LaSalle, good actor. He was in the original Jacob's Ladder. He was on ER for a while. He's a guy who's friends with Laurence Fishburne, and he'll work on some mechanical things, fix stuff up. So one day, Laurence Fishburne, he is called out by Terrence Howard, fairly young Terrence Howard, well before the first Iron Man and other stuff. So they do the race. Laurence Fishburne wins the race. Terrence Howard is not in control of his vehicle, flips it. Yeah, this wide shot where this CG motorcycle comes towards, hits Eric LaSalle, and kills Terrence Howard and Eric LaSalle. Although I would think if you got hit by a motorcycle, there'd be more than just a drop of, a couple beats of blood. Like your whole body, your face would be completely mangled. But no, I mean, you get hit by a motorcycle, your face is fine, you're just dead, and there's, blood behind it. Although I guess they couldn't do much because I believe this was PG-13. And so sometime later, months later, I was talking about how like this film's trying to be serious like Boyz in the Hood, but at the same time, it's not really the right rhythm for this kind of movie. Like, it's trying to be a very serious scene, but they're in a cemetery, having buried Eric LaSalle, and Derek Luke is with his mom and other people. And in the background, you have Laurence Fishburne and his group on motorcycles roaming through the cemetery, and they start revving up. I'm like, you did? Like, stop revving the damn motorcycle. It's a cemetery. So loud the dead will wake up, and you'll have a zombie apocalypse. I don't know, just the image of a bunch of guys on motorcycles and these leather jackets that you would think would be hot as hell in California. I mean, hot as hell. They're riffing their damn motorcycles. Like I said, it's months later. Pretty much Derek Luke, who is just very dull. He's very bland. He's very weak. It's funny, like both Biker Boys and Torque have the problem of lead characters being the least interesting actors and characters in their movie. Like in, Torque, you have people like Ice Cube, among others. Here, you got Laurence Fishburne, you got Orlando Jones, you got, Dante Basco, Rufio, he's in it for a teeny bit. Like Terrence Howard is in it for a teeny bit. Kid Rock is in it. Who else? I said Djimon Hounsou. Larenz Tate. Let's see. Kadeem Hardison I mentioned. Like any other of these folks would have been a more interesting lead guy than Derek Luke. I mean, I don't even know what else this guy has done. Like if I'm looking up. Oh, he was in Antoine Fisher. That's how he got it. He was in Antoine Fisher with Denzel Washington. No, Sean Connery was fighting Forrester. Antoine Fisher with Denzel Washington. and that got some recognition and awards, BET awards, and Derek Luke got some recognition for that. He would later be in Friday Night Lights, Glory Road, Lines for Lambs, Notorious, as Sean Combs, Puffy, or P. Diddy. Did he do it? Maybe he was better in those films, but in this, he's lost. He's a lost lamb amongst the flock, and he's trying to find something for weight and merit, and he can't find it. Whether it's the director, whether it's the script, or whether it's him, or all the above. But he's just not that interesting of a character. He's very dull and boring as the lead. So it goes from him hanging out with his family and his mom. I mean, him and his mom play this video game where it's like a Western shooting game, which I don't know the name of the game, but I thought, okay, that's a weird... I mean, it's a very simple game. Kind of one of those... There's a cowboy, you just move the cursor, you shoot. But I'm like, okay, that's a weird game to be playing. Play some better games. Or he's out with the other folks out there trying to make a name of him for himself, doing these scams, these hustles, I should say, where there's this other guy, I think it's Brendan Fehr, nicknamed Stuntman, which he was in CSI Miami, he was been in other movies and TV shows. He's a guy that seems like your white guy that should not belong, and oh, he's easy pickings, but then lo and behold, he has the race, and he's doing fairly well, and then Derek Luke comes in as the third guy when he's not supposed to, and is able to help this guy win the race, and it's all part of this hustle where later on the two of them split it. This third guy finds out and goes, hey, instead of wanting to join this other group, make your own group. Call yourself the Biker Boys. And then they get these like ugly looking yellow jackets. Apparently there was some interview with Laurence Fishburne later on where he's like, listen, if you don't call yourself a biker boy, you don't get your ass kicked. And especially if you don't wear this yellow get-up. Like, come on, wearing yellow and then boys, biker boys. You don't be laughed at, you don't be mocked. So even, it seems like Laurence Fishburne wasn't having that. But at least the check was cleared and cashed. So start their own club called the Biker Boys. And then the movie just kind of coasts along, not really finding much of a pulse, at least to me. I mean, Kadeem Hardison is there as a guy in a wheelchair with an eye patch, and his name is TJ. And this thing, you looked at the names of the characters, or their nicknames: Smoke, Kid, Soul Train, Motherland, Queenie, Wood, Choo Choo, Dog, 2Gs, Stuntman, and that's Stuntman Mark. It's just one of those scenes where, really, like, this is the best you can do with this script? And the action scenes aren't even that noteworthy, especially even when it captured the Fast and Furious audience. Like, there are ways to make exciting motorcycle chases and drag races and all sorts of stuff. But this director was just in over his head because you look at his filmography, he's had no experience doing this kind of thing. And you can tell. And like I said, the movie just coasts along with random scenes of, well, we need to get some hot women in there. Cool. So there's going to be a bit where bunch of hot women are cleaning the motorcycles, and hey, you'll put some money in, and it's a charity for a library. They give books for kids or something, but it's PG-13, so you can't see much of the goods. Kid wants to race Laurence Fishburne. Fishburne says no. The biker boys are getting a bit bigger and bigger through a couple montages. At one point, the hustle goes too far, and some people want to beat their ass, and Fishburne has to save Kid. Spoiler alert, one thing leads to another, you find out, lo and behold, Laurence Fishburne is actually the dad of Kid, of Derek Luke. And he didn't know about it, and Derek Luke didn't know about it, just the mom knew about it, and Eric LaSalle. So when Laurence Fishburne finds this out, then he's more gung-ho for Kid to not be in these races. Which is one of the things he's going to do is race Kid Rock, who plays Dog, who's got a damn collar with spikes around his neck. And then, Kid Rock is a very polarizing figure, especially for his political stuff. I mean, I like some of Kid Rock's songs. Him in the movie, I thought he did fine for what he was supposed to do. He has animosity towards Fishburne. He has a race with Fishburne where he loses. And then he kind of goads Derek Luke, who wants to race him. But the thing is, they really try to make it seem like he's going to be, the bad guy, the antagonist for the movie. And then he's really not. And that's the thing, a lot of these actors are wasted on these nothing roles. Laurence Fishburne does what he can because he's a good, solid actor. But I don't think there's much meat to the bones for drama. It would seem like it. Oh, this guy finds out he's had a son. But other than a couple stares, or sit down and stare over here, or this one scene that I thought, oh my god, really? Mr. Director, really, dude? He's on his motorcycle and his visor's here, and in the visor we see a flashback to early in the film where Eric LaSalle's character dies. In the visor, it just shows it. And I'm like, okay. I'm sure you thought that was really cool. That seemed like something a student film director would do. Look how spiffy I am. I know nobody else is going to have an issue with that, but I just thought, that just seemed somewhat cringy, or just... really, dude? And I see a lot of the people, Orlando Jones, he gets a couple laughs. When Laurence Fishburne beats Kid Rock's character, who again is called Dog, and there's a reason I repeat that. Fishburne's like, hey, want your helmet too. So Kid Rock throws it. And then Laurence Fishburne watches as he leaves. He goes, that's a bad dog. And Orlando Jones says something like, no, that's not a bad dog. That's a bitch. The way Orlando Jones said that and delivered the lines, you just wish he had more to do. You wish he had more to say other than a couple times where he's hyping people up. Djimon Hounsou, he's kind of there to be around Fishburne and them 2 or 3 times, be a bit of backup for Fishburne. There's a bit with him and Derek Luke. They kind of get a bit into it, but it doesn't get too far because Fishburne breaks it up. I think there's a bit where the two of them are supposed to race and then other stuff happens. It's a very forgettable film. Lisa Bonet, kind of sorted girlfriend to Laurence Fishburne's character. Larenz Tate, kind of the hype man for Kid Rock's character. Kid Rock, him, he just appears from time to time. Say he loses the race to Fishburne. Then he does have the race with Derek Luke, and he bumps the guy. So the guy slides and loses, and he's mad because his bike is screwed up. And he's like, well, I guess he can't race Laurence Fishburne. Oh well, your dream is down the toilet. And then Kid Rock comes in and goes, you know what, it's my fault you did it. Bring his punk ass down. I'm gonna give you my bike. I get the intention, he wants Laurence Fishburne to lose no matter what, but at the same time, the way this guy acts, the way his demeanor has been, it just, it was hard for me to buy that this guy would be like, you know what, I'm sorry, I screwed up, here's my bike, go beat his ass. I mean, granted, then what? Are you then going to race him to then beat him? Or, yeah, I'm fine with that kid winning because, oh well, it's not Laurence Fishburne. I guess that's his mentality. And what if the kid lost? Then what? Well, give him a bite back, alright. I just, like I said, the way Kid Rock's character was, it's just hard for me to buy that route he went to. The race between Fishburne and Derek Luke, they do this thing, which they also did this in Driven, the Sylvester Stallone film, where they're so good they did tunnel vision, so we see the point of view where everything closes in, where they did tunnel vision, but it's done with not the best effects that they could manage at the time. And it's like, yeah, there's such a, like, instead of nice camera tricks or just playing with the soundtracks and maybe have the heartbeat and steady of breath and this focus, laser focus, like, we have to have this like awkward looking tunnel vision that screams 2003 effects. The soundtrack is like rap all over the place. I can't remember what all the soundtrack was. I could look it up real quick. And then lo and behold, spoiler, at the end, Fishburne is ready to win, but he relents, lets Kid win. So Laurence Fishburne loses on purpose. And, okay, I've been speaking for 21 minutes. If you want to know what kind of movie this is, the line they repeat all the time is, burn rubber, not your soul. That kind of tells you what kind of movie it is. The soundtrack, you got Ride from Redman and E3, Boom, the Crystal Method POD, which I don't even remember hearing that in the movie. Mos Def, California, Missed It, Judicus, Michelle. Man. Like, it's one of those things that it's hard to talk because what is there to actually have a conversation about? Like, if you're going into this film, what are you going in for? Are you going in for the story? The story is something you've seen time and time again. The up-and-coming guy that wants to take out the old gunslinger, only in this case it's with motorcycle drag racing. If you want to go in for action, the motorcycle drag racing isn't really that excitingly put together. Whether the camera angles the guy uses or at times the handheld, and it just comes off as stuff you would see really like on a TV show, not movie quality in these sequences. There's not a lot of memorable crazy stunts. Even when the guy, Derek Luke, slides off. Okay, don't get me wrong, it's a dangerous stunt to do in real life. But just the way it's filmed, it's like, okay, he slides off, and then it seemed very clear from the get-go he was okay, and then lo and behold, he was okay. His friends, like the characters, like Derek Luke's friends, when after the setup where they start their biker boys game with the yellow, other than the three of them talking about the one guy, I forget his name, something about some woman screwed him over, but it was like, and then he had to go home on his bike naked and they're laughing at him. You think that would lead to something, lead to anywhere? No. And then those characters, you don't really get much of any type of interactions, development. Like, those are in the background for the rest of the movie. Like, you mentioned Dante Basco, that's Rufio from Hook. He's like, hey, I love your stuff, man. And then he's part of the group, and then he does nothing. And I think they have his brother Dion Basto as well, Dante and Dion Basto. Like they're the two of them together. Hey, how's it going? They're in the background and nothing else. Like nothing else. Like, that's really like, so many characters are introduced and then they offer like nothing to the proceedings. And like the first Fast and Furious, the stuff between Vin Diesel and Paul Walker actually what was pretty decent for that time period. And the action scenes had a bit more gusto, because Rob Cohen has experience making action films, whether it be Daylight, A Dragging Heart, other films of that nature. So he has a bit of experience, unlike this director. So that's what I mean. Like, by, and I'm already doing it now, by tomorrow or the day after, I'm not going to remember much about this movie. And I don't think anybody else has either. Take that for what you will. But thanks for watching. Take care, everyone. And we'll see you guys later. Bye-bye for now.